I get that part of being a man is control over your emotions, but for Jin Woo, those were tears of joy after hard work finally paying off. Personally, I think it's sad if you can't enjoy the fruits of your own labor just because you don't like the way it makes you. So you read the title. So hold on, let me rewind a little bit. So not long ago, I decided to watch a new anime. Now I don't have as much time as I used to have, especially on these new shows. But Solo Leveling is one of my little cousin's favorites, so I wanted to watch it with him. And this particular anime has been recommended to me before, so this is the one I decided to give it a shot. And seeing as how they didn't have too many episodes to begin with, I'm pretty sure I binged season one and like the first 6 episodes in the same day. Now I'm watching dub, so I'm not up to date on the latest, especially I'm recording the video. I can see the next 2 episodes and maybe take a glance of the summary. And of course, people are talking about them online, so it's hard for me not to watch the spoilers. So all that's to say, since I watched dub, I'm a few weeks behind everyone else. So with that being said, there was an episode getting a lot of attention for being the worst of the season, and some say even the worst of the series. Now again, I've heard about this episode weeks before because I'm watching dub. It took me a while for me to finally get to see it for myself, and we are of course talking about episode 21. Now warning, there are some spoilers ahead. Just want to let y'all know that, but I figure that since we're going to be talking about a specific episode, I can't help but make some spoilers. But I wanted to see why this episode got downvoted so much. But if I were to summarize, and we'll get more into it later, but to sum it up, the main character, our protagonist, Jin Woo, this episode, he cried. That is why it got hated for so much. Obviously, I saw like the thumbnail, so I knew he cried, and I heard the comments about it before I got to see the episode for myself. Now, in case you're unfamiliar with the anime Solo Leveling, I'm gonna give you a brief summary of what the show's about. Of course, if you already know this, you can feel free to skip ahead. So in this world, portals seem to open at random spots around the world. Within them, there are different creatures called magic beasts, and they attack humans on sight. Now, most of the time, what's stopping them from doing so is the gate itself, as it keeps them locked into their world and they can't get through it. That is until 7 days go by and the gate breaks down, and they call that a gate break of some sort. And the ones that usually prevent that sort of thing are hunters. Hunters are a group of people in the population who have awakened, I guess, a power within them that allows them to have stronger abilities and different type of abilities. And they travel into these dungeons and defeat these magical beasts. And then when they defeat the boss, that portal closes and the people around get to be saved for another day. Now, of course, our protagonist, Jin Woo, is in fact one of those hunters. Now, before the events of the show, it is revealed that Jin Woo's mother has been put into a comatose state. So a lot of Jin Woo's motivation is getting the cure for his mother. And in this latest episode, or by the point of this recording, episode 21, he gets that cure. All he had to do was travel to this super strong dungeon and fight literally legions of demons and defeat the demon monarch, which we saw the episode prior. That fight was epic, by the way. But back on the topic, Jin Woo gives the cure to his mother, and we aren't sure if it will work, but in just a little time, and she wakes up and found her son sitting there. Obviously, an emotional moment. There's music playing. They're just alone. This is a somber moment between them in the hospital. She asks how long she has been asleep. I believe it's been 4 years. And despite her not knowing exactly what has happened in 4 years, she could tell by just looking at her son how much pain that he went through just to get to this point. She may believe that he is the one that cured her. It's not revealed, not super clear, but obviously she looks at him and can tell just what he's been through. Maybe not specifically, but at least emotionally. It's at that moment that Jin Woo is brought to tears, which has brought the criticism. Now I'm going to bring up 2 points for this video. One on the valid criticism of the situation, and then my personal takeaway. Now, before that, I think it's only fair to point out that while this episode has been the lowest rating of the season, I still believe it is the minority of people who actually don't like the episode. That being said, let's talk. As I said, most of the comments and reactions have been positive, but I've included some negative comments here. In fact, I'm going to focus on one because I think it does a good job of basically summarizing it. Excuse me. Let me just put it on the screen and we'll read through this. What happened to Jin Woo, the guy who once radiated pure dominance, walking into dungeons like he owned them, now shedding tears? This ain't the cold, calculating, absolute Sigma I sign up for. And he goes back into the Webtoon novel, talk about his undefeated aura, and talk about how he was a man of few words, letting his powers speak instead. Talk about his emotional moments hit way too hard and not a satisfying way, and he stripped away his mystique. And he talked about the character development, he turning the Shadow Monarch into a teary-eyed protagonist. Where's the menace? The unwavering confidence. Sorry, that's how I'm reading this. The guy who faced literal gods without flinching, but it feels like the anime adaptation softened him up, which I'll have to take his word for it, taking away that untouchable alpha energy that made him legendary. This ain't my soul leveling. I want a cold-blooded king, not a protagonist getting emotional in ways that undercut his aura. Maybe it'll turn around, but right now, Jin Woo ain't Sigma no more. And you can see he's got 3 that found it helpful and 54 down likes. Now, as I'm trying to interpret this, I can basically believe that whoever wrote this believed that the Jin Woo that we got is not the Jin Woo that we were started with or that was promised. And to that, I say they're right. Let me explain. Before this moment, the only time we saw Jin Woo cry was in episode 2, when he went through excruciating pain and even lost a couple of limbs right before he gained his power. After that, we don't really see anything that brings him close to a strong emotion. In fact, we see him even losing a few as he seems to get darker in his methods. And what we've seen is epic fight after epic fight, where Jin Woo basically does everything himself because he's solo leveling. He even does moves that make no sense other than make himself look cool. I believe the kids are calling it aura farm. Sorry, I feel old. This gives the audience some evidence that the protagonist is going to be the alpha or the sigma that they've always wanted. Unlike other animes where you know early on if your protagonist is going to be a crier. Case in point, My Hero Academia. We knew in episode 1, Deku is going to be a crier. You can say that a little bit about Naruto. Doesn't cry that often. But first episode, those moments are going to come as well. But for this level of emotion to come out only season 2, I get it. It might feel like a bait and switch to what you were promised, or at least alluded to. My little cousin, the one who recommended this show, actually is one of the ones that has this similar reaction. It's actually quite hilarious. I believe his quote was lost aura points for sure. For those of you probably wondering, he's 16. The disparity might be how we view masculinity in general. Hopefully this isn't too much of a stretch. I know I'm going down this kind of a tangent. Jin Woo has already shown that he's strong, he's cunning, calculated, and has very little weaknesses. The display of emotion somehow weakens that image. The image of the alpha or sigma male. And I've heard these terms before. And I actually had to look these up. And based upon the definition, I suppose he's more of the sigma male archetype. Now, this is disappointing only if your example of peak masculinity doesn't include tenderness as a virtue. Art and media gives us different examples of strong men, whether they're great leaders or more of a lone wolf that does things their own way. You may imagine yourself as such. If not now, chances are you did so when you were younger. For me, the one who illustrates the best version of manhood is Jesus. Trust me, why I love these characters, it's important to know that they can only show a small fraction of true strength. While Jesus shows us strength that dominates real demons, yet is no less masculine when he chooses to shed some tears. He need no other man to complete his mission, yet he chose to be a leader for our sake. And while looking cool is to be desired, Jesus chose the look of humiliation instead to win us salvation. And I'll end with this. I get that part of being a man is control over your emotions, but for Jin Woo, those were tears of joy after hard work finally paying off. Personally, I think it's sad if you can't enjoy the fruits of your own labor just because you don't like the way it makes you look. Okay, that's going to do it for me. Remember, if you like this kind of content, please consider leaving a like, a comment, tell me what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. God bless.
Is it too good to be true? I want this so much, but don't know if I can trust you. My mind's racing fast, trying to find the red flags I'm used to. All these green lights, are they coming too soon? Caught between red and the green.